In today's show, I'm going to talk about Uchi Mata, at least my four favorite kinds of Uchi Mata, and also some stuff about leg locks. Might be interesting to you, so stay tuned. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Scott, and welcome to another episode of Freestyle Judo. Well, today we're going to kind of have a diverse show. We're going to talk about leg locks a bit, and then we're also going to take a serious look at Uchi Mata, at least my four favorite types of doing Uchi Mata, and I base my favoritism simply on their usage and effectiveness, but also personal preference as well, so I won't lie about it. But anyway, Uchi Mata, some people call it the king of throws. I guess that title could be said to Osotogari or Seoinage or any type of foot sweeps. Pretty much your favorite throw, whatever you use best, that's your king of throws or queen of throws. But that being said, Uchi Mata is a very popular technique, so we're going to take a real serious look at that, at least four methods of it anyway, later in the show. Right now, I want to talk about Ashi Garami. Ashi Garami. Ashi means leg, and Garami or foot, and in this case we're talking about legs, and or it could be foot, foot locks as well. But Ashi means leg, and Garami means to wrap around or to lace around something, to entangle. So Ashi Garami is a very old technique in Kodokan Judo, believe it or not. Arm locks or leg locks are not practiced in judo today. They're not allowed in the rules. We're going to talk about that quickly here in a moment as to why maybe, and the history of that. But Ashi Garami is something that we practice on a regular basis at my club. One, because we do Shingitai Jujitsu and we do a lot of leg locks in Shingitai. And also number two, we do a lot of Sambo. And leg locks are very much a major part of Sambo as well. So I think the Ashi Garami controlling situation is a key skill to learn. And now, even if you don't do judo, or if you don't do Sambo or Jiu-Jitsu, Ashi Garami is an interesting technique. There are a lot of ways to do leg locks. There are a lot of ways to set up this Ashi Garami. We're going to see here in a video here. But what we're going to show in this video coming up is the basic way we teach Ashi Garami, or leg lacing. We call it leg lacing. And again, that's a phrase we see a lot in Sambo and other grappling sports as well. But why isn't Ashi Garami, why are leg locks legal in judo? Why aren't they permitted in competition judo? And I've been asked that a number of times, and I guess we could use that as our Q&A today, as our question and answer period, because I've been asked so many times when I'll do a seminar or something, and we'll do leg locks, and we'll do leg submissions, lower body submissions. Well, why aren't they permitted in competition judo? Well, it really does go back quite a way, well over 100 years ago. And initially, leg locks, and probably historically, and just maybe some supposition on my part, but having studied a little bit of the history of judo, Ashi Garami was practiced and used certainly in the different jiu-jitsu or feudal jiu-jitsu type fighting systems, but it was also used in the early days of the Kodokan, and it was permitted initially in the competitions. But in 1916, the year 1916, it was listed as one of the prohibited techniques in the Kodokan competition rules, and there have been several rule changes up to that point. I think Professor Kano wrote the first contest rules, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, put it in the box below in your comments. But if memory serves me well, I think 1899 was the first year that Professor Kano actually wrote a formal set of contest rules, and they were changed periodically after that, with not just periodically, with some frequency actually, till they got it where they were safer and it was more of the look that Kano wanted. And that trend has continued up to today, up to the present day. We see rule changes all the time in competition judo. And when somebody talks about, well, I just like the traditional rules, well, let me ask you this question. Which set of traditional rules you like? The one in 1899, the one in 1916, the one in 1925, 1930, on and on. So rule changes have happened throughout the entire history of judo. And leg locks were one of the first techniques to be banned in competition judo, at least in 1916, in the rewriting of the rules then, along with Ashi Garami, and they specifically list Ashi Garami in that rule change in the Kodokan rules. It doesn't list any other type of leg locks, by the way. So it makes me wonder if that was pretty much the only type of leg or lower body or ankle lock, any type of leg lock that was used in the Kodokan at that time. So it just makes me wonder if that was the main content of what they did as far as lower body submissions. But anyway, along with Ashi Garami, dojime, squeezing in the body, where you have, body scissors, and also body triangles, any type of constriction of the body, of the torso of the body was no longer prohibited. Finger locks up to that time were allowed. They just didn't have any rule against them. And so finger locks were prohibited, and also neck cranks or neck locks. And I certainly agree with the neck crank because you can do some serious injuries with that. A couple of sources where I've got the rules, well, several sources where I got the rules, but the primary one that I would highly recommend on a history of judo, it is called A History of Judo, and I'll hold it up here, by Sid Hoare. He's an 8th Dan from Great Britain. I don't know if this book is still in print, but it is a gold mine. It is a fabulous book. So if you want a real insight into judo's history, here it is. And I got these notes specific today, plus some other sources, different sources, but primarily from Sid Hoare's book. So I would highly recommend that book. If it's available, buy it. I was very fortunate. I got it early on when it came out on the market several years back, and I'm glad. It's a great read. So I'd buy that book. But beyond that, Ashi Garami. So you kind of have an idea, okay, and why was Ashi Garami prohibited? Well, they said safety. Well, actually, Ashi Garami, in my opinion, is not a dangerous move. And leg locks and lower body submissions are not dangerous. And if in a perfect world, I guess, in the world of judo, I would allow leg submissions. And people have asked me, well, why didn't you include leg locks or lower body submissions when you wrote the Freestyle Judo contest rules? And I wanted to very much, but there were a couple things that held me back. Number one was, for the most part, judo people didn't know a thing about leg locks. And I think that might have scared them away from that early time we started the Freestyle Judo program and the contest rules. So I think that might have been a thing that turned people away from these rules. So number one, they weren't used in judo at all, pretty much. So most people in judo didn't know them, so that would turn them off. Number two, the Amateur Athletic Union, who we're affiliated with, said, no, we don't want leg submissions at all. And, we talked about that quite a bit. And they said, well, it's now you're getting into the mixed martial arts and other things like that. So if the other sets of judo rules don't use them, we would prefer you not use them. And that, that is a suggestion. They didn't tell me that I couldn't, but I think it was a wise suggestion. So that's why we didn't include them in the freestyle contest rules, but I would love to have them because I love lower body submissions. That all being said, let's look at Ashi Garami, or leg lacing, as we call it in our club. And Derek is going to be working with Jacob on this, and we were just teaching a class in basic position, how to get the leg lace, or Ashi Garami. There are a lot of ways to do it. You can shoot in and roll under them like you see in some of the old pride fights, and Sakuraba and Funaki, those really great catch wrestlers and pride fighters like that did that. But and there are other ways to get into it too, but we're showing in this video how to do it from the bottom newaza position, bottom fighting, bottom guard, as it were. So we're using that as a base to start with. And it's just about a 3-minute, 20-second video. And it's the only video on this subject today I'm going to do. I think later in another show, we're going to do a show on leg locks a lot. But I want to give a little taste about Ashi Garami here. So anyway, that being said, let's look at Derek teaching how to do Ashi Garami with Jacob in a 3-minute, 20-second video. So let's look at that right now.
And then we're going to start with our feet in the hips. Okay? And what this does, number one, is a situation that happens. Okay? Number two, it also teaches you not to worry about the beginning motion. It's just, okay, I'm going to spin under, collect the leg, and really go after it. So what I want everybody to focus on this time is the movement sideways, okay? And then after you lace, really getting a good grip on that leg. I've seen a lot of guys finishing with their hands down by their belt. Your hand should be up in your chest, okay? And that's to make it easier. If my hands are down here and I'm bridging, you have to go all the way up there to get it because there's all this space in there. Okay, if my hands are up here and there's no space there, as soon as I start moving and bridging, that's when it starts hyperextending. So as soon as you grab a hold and overhook that ankle, you keep it tight. That's one of the reasons why I say to grab your lapel up high, because now you can see even when I do that, it's a tiny little hole. My arm is down here, it's a much bigger hole, right? Okay, so get your hands up high, whether they're together like this or you're grabbing your lapel. Okay, all right, so got feet on hips, grab that lower part of his ankle by the Achilles tendon, foot through, shrink sideways and really grab a hold of it. It's in your armpit, your hand's sticking out on the other side. You should be able to get your hands together or feed that lapel down into it so that it's nice and tight. Okay? Shift through, lace, hook. Finish on this side for the experienced guys. Finish on this side for the less experienced guys.
And again, you're finishing with a straight ankle lock.
Straight ankle lock.
Particular case.
Yeah, not a heel hook or anything else yet. Okay? Heel hooks all start with control. So if you can't ankle lock somebody, you're not going to be very good at heel hooks because you're not controlling the limb that you're wanting to attack.
Can you do that at regular speed? Can you just watch how they do that, buddy? See, so basically, he's starting from the bottom position in Newaza, bottom guard. And as a common position, what Derek was just showing here, you know, feet on the hips. And that's it. So he may be, you know, standing trying to, you know, sweep your legs by and get around. And, you know, if you're good at fighting off your backside, this is a really great way. This Ashi Garami, or leg lacing, is a great way to, you know, to take him back from the bottom. There was a fighting. Can you show one more time? Watch how he does. Now, see how he uses the feet there in the hips, and now, boom, there he goes. See? So it's a good, effective move from bottom fighting. Okay. Not legal in judo, but we sure see it in Sambo. We sure see it in submission grappling, Jiu-Jitsu. So it's certainly a good move to do. So let's work on that. With a rule change of 1916 making Ashi Garami a prohibited technique like dojime and finger grabbing and neck cranks, that type of thing, it became known as a kinshiwaza, a forbidden technique. And there are several forbidden techniques in the Kodokan, and that's one of them. And again, it's based on safety, but also the rule changes and how I think the early leaders of Kodokan Judo wanted judo to look. I mean, you know, how you write the rules is pretty much how you conduct the sport. And how you conduct the sport in many cases is how you teach the activity. So even though judo is also physical education, self-defense, you know, the rule set really does determine a lot how things are done in practice. So that was a consideration made. But in my opinion, just my personal opinion from my years of experience in this, Ashi Garami is not that dangerous of a technique. Any technique can be dangerous, but Ashi Garami, leg lacing as we call it in our club, and we call that, I guess, in Sambo, at least I've heard it called that a lot in Sambo, is a safe technique, just like any, you know, leg or any other arm lock or any type of arm lock or strangle or anything else. In fact, I think strangles and chokes are probably more dangerous than leg submissions. But again, it's one of the considered kinshiwaza of Kodokan Judo. So that being said, I will have a whole show, I think, later at some point on kinshiwaza of the Kodokan. I think that's an interesting subject culturally as well as from a technical standpoint. So we'll get on that later. But right now, let's look at what many call the king of throws, Uchi Mata. And, you know, from a female perspective, it could be the queen of throws. Personally, you know, I think your king of throw, your queen of throw could be the one you do best and use with the best frequency, and it's you know, your favorite technique. So, you know, that's certainly a perspective we all have, but there's no doubt in my mind or anybody else's mind who's been around any length of time that Uchi Mata is probably one of the most versatile throwing techniques ever invented. And so we're going to take a look at it today anyway. We're going to take a look at 4 variations of it, or 4 different applications, I should say. And again, it is so versatile. I mean, you know, if you go back and look at how many different ways you can do Uchi Mata or seen other people do Uchi Mata, it's just kind of amazing. So, again, these four are the four I like to teach the most, and I think show the most the wide range of a diversity of how to do Uchi Mata. You know, it's still Uchi Mata, and by the way, Uchi Mata means inner. We call it as inner thigh, but you're doing on the inside of the thighs, yeah. But it's kind of like a fork in the road or a you know, fork in the tree. It's the middle of something. So that's how it got its original name. It doesn't really mean thigh; it just means the middle of the body, pretty much, and the center of it. So that's what Uchi Mata really, you know, implies. But anyway, that being said, we're going to look at the way I teach Uchi Mata first. This is the, you know, if you were to come into my club and learn techniques from me, this would be your first exposure to Uchi Mata. And it's not the classic, that's coming up, the classic, you know, split down the middle Uchi Mata. It's not that one. It is what I call the leg style or the spinning Uchi Mata. Two reasons, and I'll explain them in the video. The video is almost 6 minutes long, but I think we present our case well. It is this type of Uchi Mata is great for beginners to learn because they get the skills down. It's a quicker learning curve than the classic split down the middle style of Uchi Mata, at least in my opinion, the way I teach. You may have a different opinion. Good for you. It's how you teach, but. This really helps students get the idea of how to do Uchi Mata well with some good skill pretty quick. So it's a quicker learning curve. It also is very effective no matter what level of competition it's in. I've seen this used at the World Championships. So it is a very effective technique in and of itself. And a good point, Ken Brink, one of our great coaches at Welcome Mat, and certainly one of my great athletes that I've coached, he was an Uchi Mata guy. His right side Uchi Mata was the classic split down the middle, you know, go for broke Uchi Mata. It was a great one. He threw a lot of guys with that. His left side Uchi Mata was a leg style or spinning Uchi Mata. So he could do Uchi Mata off either side, but they were just slightly different. Slightly different. And that may be something you might want to consider yourself. So anyway, let's look at the first style of Uchi Mata that I teach is the leg style Uchi Mata or the spinning Uchi Mata. So let's take a look at that right now. We're going to work on this leg style Uchi Mata, and I would also venture to say, guys, and a lot of your coaches, this is a good one to teach new people. Okay, so this you're going to learn Uchi Mata, and you'll really pick it up in that really okay. It's an easier way to learn it, and it makes a lot of sense, and it's very effective. But we'll start with it. Let's think about the grips. One low grip. So Derek's going to do a righty style Uchi Mata apparently, and he's got a low grip with his left hand on the sleeve. Okay, it's a longer grip. The longer grip being he's not grabbing up and controlling the shoulder so much. He has a long arm here. Okay, his other hand could be where he likes it set. He likes a lapel. You might grab around the side. And for tonight, let's grab around the side, and he's controlling. And again, just like he's looping the belt over him. Okay, so you can see how he's just kind of like he's put a belt or a rope around Mike. He's got a low grip here on the sleeve. He's got a good grip here. Okay, and he's just really tying it. So he's killing the shoulder here, and he's really killing the arm here. Right now, his stance, his initial stance is really essential. So he's sugar footing a little bit with his right foot, and he's going to have it kind of inside Mike's foot if he can when he's working the guy, because he's going to be spinning around real deep with his left. So he's on his foot here. This is a pivot foot. Okay, so he's going to pivot that, and he's going to swing his back leg, his left leg, back around real far. As he does this, he's pulling here, and he's driving here. So he's controlling both the low part of the body and the upper part of the body too. Okay. Now, when he does this, with his right foot, as he comes in, he's going to point it and he's going to sweep. He may hit high, he may hit low. It really, you'll find in practice you'll have a preference, but you know, we'll see what Derek does here. So good. And there's a clean Uchi Mata. He clocked it. In judo, that would have been pawn. Sambo certainly a 4-pointer. If he had stayed up with it, would have been total victory. So it's a clean throw. But look how he's sugar footing. He's got a low sleeve grip. He's got control up here. He's controlling. That's good Kazushi, good management of his opponent's balance. Now, and good stance. Now, when he comes in, that back leg, I can't stress enough,
that back leg has to swing in hard, at least parallel to Mike. So it's back out there. See how that left foot is out there? That's the driving leg. That's what Jeff Gleason famously called the driving leg. Okay. Now with his right foot, his attacking foot, he points it and he sweeps. And it could be sweep low, could be sweep high. He even might even sweep Mike's other leg, but generally he'll sweep the close leg to him. Okay, take a look at it again one more time. Very good. Boom, like that. Good control. Did he land on him? Didn't need to, you know, but you might land on it if you do roll over. Okay, so one more time, see the low grip, the good long grip here. And as he does that, he constantly pulls. He spins about, and it's a fast whipping. It's a whipping movement with the leg. Okay, you're not loading him up at all. What you're doing, you're spinning and catching and whipping movement. We're going to work on this leg style Uchi Mata, and I would also venture to say, guys, and a lot of your coaches, this is a good one to teach new people. Okay, so this you're going to learn Uchi Mata, and you'll really pick it up in that building. Okay, it's an easier way to learn it, and it makes a lot of sense, and it's very effective. But we'll start with it. Let's think about the grips. One low grip. So Derek's going to do a righty style Uchi Mata apparently, and he's got a low grip with his left hand on the sleeve. Okay, it's a longer grip. The longer grip being he's not grabbing up and controlling the shoulders so much. He has a long arm here. Okay. His other hand could be where he likes it set. He likes a lapel. You might grab around the side. For tonight, let's grab around the side, and he's controlling. And again, just like he's looping the belt over him. Okay. So you can see how he's just kind of like he's put a belt or a rope around Mike. He's got a low grip here on the sleeve. He's got a good grip here, okay? And he's just really tying it. So he's killing the shoulder here, and he's really killing the arm here, right? Now, his stance, his initial stance is really essential. So he's sugar footing a little bit with his right foot, and he's going to have it kind of inside Mike's foot if he can when he's working the guy, because he's going to be spinning around real deep with his left. So he's want his foot here. This is a pivot foot. Okay, so he's going to pivot that, and he's going to swing his back leg, his left leg, back around real far. As he does this, he's pulling here, and he's driving here. So he's controlling both the low part of the body and the upper part of the body too. Okay. Now, when he does this, with his right foot, as he comes in, he's going to point it and he's going to sweep. He may hit high, he may hit low. It really, you'll find with practice, you'll have a preference, but you know, we'll see what Derek does here. So good. And there's a clean Uchi Mata. He clocked it. So it's a clean throw. But look how he's sugar footing. He's got a low sleeve grip. He's got control up here. He's controlling. That's good Kazushi, good management of his opponent's balance. Now, and good stance. Now when he comes in, that back leg, I can't stress enough, that back leg has to swing in hard, at least parallel to Mike. So it's back out there. See how that left foot is out there? That's the driving leg. That's what Jeff Gleason famously called the driving leg. Okay. Now with his right foot, his attacking foot, he points it and he sweeps. And it could be sweep low, could be sweep high. He even might even sweep Mike's other leg, but generally he'll sweep the close leg. Look at it again one more time. Very good. Boom, like that. Good.
Again, I want to emphasize that, you know, this is a great technique to teach new people, but it's a great technique to keep practicing your entire career because it works. So I think I made my point during the video. I don't need to say a whole lot more about that. Let's look at a more accepted general style of doing Uchi Mata. It's the classic Uchi Mata. It is a what I call split down the middle Uchi Mata. It is timeless. People have been using it for years. It really, really does work. I will say on this, it's about a 2.5 minute video. The background noise in our old gym was pretty rough back there, so please, I apologize for that. So you might want to listen carefully on this. But I think it's probably the best video clip I have on how to present the back step style of Uchi Mata. You'll see what I mean. So let's watch the second video on the classic or split down the middle Uchi Mata.
He swings in, but did you see that foot? We want to split down the middle Uchi Mata, okay? Now, there are several kinds, a couple basic kinds. The leg style is more of a hip style Uchi Mata, but think not so much hips, as more lift. I want this Shingitai here, this lifting hand, this pulling hand, I should say. That pops him up, and the right hand, your Shingitai, your pulling hand, sucks it into you. So you don't want a lot of gap in here. Now, okay, got that? Now, see the distance here? This is really good even if guys are bent over, but it's pretty well upright. Now watch. All Derek wants to do is get his right foot out of the way. Just put it there. That's enough. Just as long as he can get that turn with a back step in super, super deep. That back step's going to be super deep. Now he's doing real slow. But see how deep that is? You've got to be that deep. Then, as soon as you get that super deep split between the legs, you pop it with the Uchi Mata. You can shoot the tag with your right leg. So go ahead and toss it once. That's it. See how literally you split the guy in half. You're coming a straight line down the middle. It's really, I like to refer to it as a fast foot Uchi Mata, because as soon as you plant your left leg, your base leg, or your driver leg, as soon as that happens, you've got to substitute by your sweeping leg, your attacking leg. Okay? Now watch how he does it again. Another comes in. It's not a slow move. You've got to split it. This is Uchi Mata, means, you know, inner thigh, but it's like, here's the fork in the road, and here's the middle of it. You want to split them right down the middle. That's what it is, splitting them right down the middle. Like a branch of a tree. That's why it's Uchi Mata. Okay. So let's look at it one more time, and then we're going to do some Uchikomi drills. We're going to have to practice it. It swings in, but did you see that foot, that right foot just got out of the way? Don't make a big step like this. It's too exaggerated. He's not stupid. He's not going to fall for it. Okay? Here's your setup with your hands. This is where your hands are so important. So you pop them up, get your foot out of the way, and you drive in and bang in.
That style of Uchi Mata is the classic. That is timeless, and when somebody clocks somebody else with that, it is like poetry in motion. It's really a cool technique to watch. So, you know, that is one you really should have in your arsenal. The classic, and it takes a while to learn. It is not an easy one. It's a long curve of learning, but it's worth it. It really is worth it. So that is the classic Uchi Mata. The third Uchi Mata of the four that I'm going to talk about today is what I call a one-step Uchi Mata. It has some great popularity. A lot of judo champions use this. You know, it's really a good Uchi Mata, and it looks very much like a split down the middle Uchi Mata. But when we show it here, you'll see how the step's a little bit different. It's just a different footwork action. So you'll see what it is. It's about a little over a 3-minute video, and Derek is demonstrating it with Eric again here. But it's more of a side action. But you'll see what I mean. I'll explain it here. So let's watch the third style or third application of Uchi Mata, which is the one-step Uchi Mata, right now.
So Eric's going to be bending over, and Derek, now remember, whatever grip you use, you want to control with your elbows. So he's using this. In this particular case, he's getting a good back grip here. Okay. Like Nick, I know, where's Nick? Nick, you like up here more of a sleeve grip. You might play with that, but remember when you do that, you're going to have to lift your elbow up. See how you lift and drive with your elbow. But it is better if you can get around the side and control the back of the shoulder here. And the other arm, he's either just grabbing his arm. It could be have his lapel. But generally, by having this type of thing, we talked about earlier about looping a belt over him, that type of thing. Look, he's got a hand here, he's got a hand here. So he's got a hand on the right shoulder and part of the body, and he's got his left hand on a low sleeve grip. He's got, you know, kind of a longer grip, okay? So this works really well for this type of attack, so this type of Uchi Mata, because often you have a lot of space between you and your opponent. Notice how he's all bent over at the hips. He thinks he's safe, and this is, you know, a fallacy on his part, actually. Now, to set this up, Derek wants to sugar foot. He wants his foot meeting his opponent's, his right foot meeting his opponent's left foot. Because what he's going to do, he's going to come in an angle, and when he comes in, he's going to sweep and he's going to catch the inner thigh right about here when he comes in. So just watch him do it, and okay, just go ahead and toss him once. So everybody see that? Comes in, and it looks like this classic Uchi Mata, like it's great. But it looks like he was jumping for him. It wasn't. This really works. Step in. Good. Now you see, Derek made a point. He stepped across the body, but look what he did with his toe. He stepped out so he had a good base. Step out. See that? Okay. That's from here. Watch it. Step. You see how he slides that in? It's a side step. He doesn't expect to go sideways and get tossed. Earlier we were drilling on those side grips and drills. This is why I'm leading into this. So watch, Sugarfoot's here. Now watch with that left foot when he steps across. See that? Now his hips are almost in position. Now he's ready to just shoot and lift. And as you notice what he did with his right foot, he pointed his toe, and his toe was up, almost like a ballet dancer, all right? He didn't need to roll. He could roll over on him, Makakomi, or wind him through, but he likes his partner, okay, in this particular. But you could if you had to, okay? In this case, oh, he wants to go with an arm lock, yeah. You might have to roll over and finish through too. It depends on the situation. It's a very competitive situation, whatever. But notice the grip. He beats him at the grip. He beats him at the posture. Now look he's bent over. He thinks he's safe. Look at his posture. Is he bent over? No. He's flexed, but his back is straight. He's leading with his hips. Now look at that foot. And when he steps across, see how his foot was already in place? It's what I've heard called a one-step Uchi Mata. Okay? It's a one-step Uchi Mata. And that's what.
That Uchi Mata surprises people. I think it's a really good one, and our guys have used it from quite a long time. And in my own club here at Welcome Mat, I've seen other people use it too. So it's a great style of Uchi Mata. So that one-step Uchi Mata, it really is a good one. Some people call it the side-moving Uchi Mata. Whatever you want to call it, it works. Okay, the fourth one that I like to teach, and I have a lot of our guys teach, is really a variation of a rolling setup for a leg lock, a lower body submission. And again, you see it in Sambo quite a bit. You see it in some submission grappling and some Jiu-Jitsu, sport Jiu-Jitsu. But you can adapt it for Judo to make it Judo legal as it sins, no matter what set of Judo rules, where you don't have to go for the leg submission. We're going to show you how we do the leg submission in this video, but we'll also show you how we adapt it. And Mike Pennington and Eric are doing this, and they're modeling this. So it's about almost a 4-minute video, but it's pretty comprehensive on how to do this. I think it's a great Uchi Mata. I think it's a real sneaky Uchi Mata. Maybe the current rules in the International Judo Federation, they probably wouldn't allow this, but we sure allow it in Freestyle Judo and AAU Judo rules. So, and you see it a lot in Sambo, like I said. So let's take a look at what we call the rolling Uchi Mata, or the leg grab Uchi Mata. So here we go. This rolling, it could be like in Sambo rolling knee bar, but it's really kind of an Uchi Mata if you were just doing Judo. Of course, this wouldn't be allowed in the IJF, the International Judo Federation, because they don't allow leg grabs, but we can do this certainly in Freestyle Judo, AAU Judo, or submission grappling, or let's say you're doing this in Sambo or any type of Jiu-Jitsu, you just don't want it to go for the knee bar. Do the one where you show the knee bar first, where we've been working on lately. So when we come in and we roll in, boom, and you can see how he finishes with a nice straight knee bar. Okay, we do that quite a bit. Let's do this one where Mike would just come in and he chooses not to do the knee lock. He's going to come right over the top. Now as he does, I'm going to switch around here, guys. As he comes into a side control position, a Munigatami. But look what he's doing. He's tied him up so nice and tight. Okay, now from here, he just keeps wrapping him up. He holds him for his time. He starts coming over, and he finishes with a really nice juji coming around just around the clock, okay? Just around the world there. Let's look at it again. He comes in as Uchi Mata, rolls him, hops over, and he just keeps turning around, and he finishes out. Mike, do you have anything you want to add to that? Just tell us what you're doing when you're coming into this.
Well, we were just talking about doing no-gi for MMA. I was talking about just isolating the shoulder from a tie-up. Just really suck it in. You can do it with no-gi. Just gradually transition. If you can, pin the arm. If not, just suck those knees in real tight.
And I think no matter whether you're gi or no gi, you're pinning that arm. You've really got him tied up well.
And I just really like to work tight to isolate this arm and just slowly climb up. I like to use my foot to keep their arm trapped back here, shove their head through, spin out.
Nice finish to really around the world toward the top there, you know. Show how you come on and really trap that knee, because I think no matter what
fighting sport you're doing, or whether it's a fist fight or anything. See how you come out, kick over. See how he's trapping, and look, boom, with the left knee traps. Everybody see that? Now look, you know, Eric's stuck. Life sucks for him down there. Okay, now as he starts to collect or trap the arm, Mike, when you trap that arm for everybody, how do you do that? What are you doing here? You post with one hand, post with your right, and you start trapping, and you come over, and you finish in a juji, kind of around the world top to the finish of the juji. So that's a really nice transition. So if you weren't going for the knee bar, like in Sambo or Shingitai or something, in a judo sense, or you just chose even in a Sambo match not to do it, you could just go for a Uchi Mata. It's a rolling Uchi Mata, but you grab the leg, you still grab the leg. Show how you do that when you're coming in, grab the leg, stay totally round, bam, there's the throw, come over, see how he traps, and you just go ahead and finish out after you get your hold down points, come to the top, keep spinning around into a very nice Juji Gatami, working out. Okay, get at it, let's drill on this a bit, guys. There you go, keep coming around, and you finish. So everybody on YouTube, you can see how you can use this. You can call it Uchi Mata, call it whatever you want, just get the points with it. See how you roll? Now he's going for the knee bar, that's great, but what if you didn't want to go for that knee bar, just come right over, kick over, trap, and there you go. And again, that's one of my favorite types of Uchi Mata, because I look at this type of an Uchi Mata and a lot of throws in general, and I get this from the Sambo background that I have. We look at throwing techniques as transitions as well. We call it the total package, where you not only throw somebody for big points, you can also immediately go into a submission technique. In this case, which you just saw in this last style of Uchi Mata, you can roll him right into a straight knee bar, ankle lock, some type of lower body submission. So that's what it could be used for. And again, if you don't want to use the lower body submissions, you can use it as a straight style of a typical Uchi Mata for competition in judo. So that's totally up to you. But again, these just touch the surface. These 4 applications of Uchi Mata. Like I said earlier, it's a very versatile throw. It's one of the most popular throws in judo for good reason, because so many people with so many different body weights, both sexes, can use Uchi Mata like this, and you can make it work for you. It's one of those techniques you can really mold to fit your body and fit your style. So I highly recommend Uchi Mata. It's again, you may be a Serenagi guy, but you might also use your Uchi Mata as maybe a change-up move when they don't expect it. So it's a great technique to use. So anyway, that's so much on my 4 favorite applications of Uchi Mata. All right, that being said, I don't have anything more to talk about, and it's probably good for you. So thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time.